Okay. No, thanks, guys. So on behalf of all the co-hosts who have brought this webinar together, just want to thank you for making time for us this afternoon. We're very excited to be here and to take this opportunity to hear from waste pickers all around the country, and to learn from them and from the initiatives that they have helped start. So I'm from the Urban Future Centre at the Durban University of Technology, and we are busy with a 3-year zero waste project that is situated in the markets of Warwick. So if you're not from the province and you don't know Durban, in the inner city, we've got a large informal market that's based around a big transport node, so a very busy space. And that's where we've been working for this past year with some of the co-hosts that are on this call, groundWork and Asiye eTafuleni. And we've started this 3-year zero waste project where we're aiming to co-design and implement a range of zero waste pilots in the markets over the next few years. So we have an interest in waste management and zero waste and climate mitigation strategies, and we share that with some of our other co-hosts that are on the call that have helped bring this webinar together, and that's Melanie Sampson, who is now at UJ but was at University of Witwatersrand, and SALGA, where Vaal is from, and the CSIR. So those are some of our other partners. So this is actually, we're very privileged to have this webinar as part of the UNIDO Waste Picker Integration webinar series. So I think without keeping you for any longer, I'll hand back to Kira and she can introduce Melanie and Vaal. Thanks.
Thanks, Tam. Yes, so very quickly, I'm sure many of you know both of the people that I am going to introduce today, but let me introduce them properly and more formally again. So first, we're going to ask Melanie Sampson, who's an associate professor of sociology at the University of Johannesburg, and she's just going to give us an overview of some of the integration guidelines that she's been really a very big part of developing with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. She's one of the primary authors of the guideline, and she's also currently leading a waste picker integration and training and capacity building program, both for municipal officials and for waste pickers, funded by the university, the government of Japan via UNIDO. So Melanie, welcome. Melanie, when she finishes, we'll pass it straight over to Balanganani Nengovela, who is from SALGA. Vaal has 20 years experience in waste management, both in the private and public sector, previously worked for the city of Johannesburg, for the environmental department, for EnviroFil, for example, and is now based at SALGA, working as a specialist around solid waste management and providing support and advice to all 257 municipalities in the country. So welcome to both of you. And we're just going to give you, please sort of no more than 10 minutes max, just to set the scene for us before we bring in the experts who are the waste pickers to talk about the projects that they are busy running. So Melanie, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction, Kira, and thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. As Kira mentioned, I'm going to be talking just very briefly about the concept of waste picker integration and also the guidelines that we have and the programs that we are currently running to provide training and capacity building support on waste picker integration to municipalities and to waste pickers. I'm just going to try to share my screen. If you just forgive me for one moment, I don't usually use Zoom. I usually use Teams.
Otherwise, Mel, if you're struggling, I can also share your presentation.
Okay.
At that bottom tab, there's a green button that says share screen.
Just for some reason, oh, here we go. Great, I found it. Thank you for your patience, Kira. Great. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. So I think that I'm looking at the names of people who are participating. I think many of you have participated in our previous webinars and workshops, so I won't go into too much detail in this discussion, but the image that you're seeing before you is the cover page, the beautiful cover page of the Waste Picker Integration Guideline for South Africa that was released by DFFE in 2020. And I had the real privilege of facilitating the national multi-stakeholder participatory process through which all of the key players in the sector came together to decide what does integration, waste picker integration mean in South Africa, and to develop the guideline to guide ourselves and others in the implementation of waste picker integration. And just in case some of you haven't seen the guideline, then you can see it has a number of sections. There's an introduction. We wanted the guideline to help people to really understand what does waste picker integration mean before we began to talk about how do we do it. So there's a section on understanding waste pickers and their contributions, given that they have been overlooked for so long. There's a section on understanding waste picker integration. And then in section D, we have 10 waste picker integration principles that I will share with you. We have identified some of the common challenges to be addressed as part of waste picker integration. We have a whole section on integrated separation at source. And the reason we have that section is we found that at a national level and at municipal levels, municipalities, industry, national government, provincial government were looking at separation at source as one priority policy area and developing programs in separation at source, and then looking very separately at waste pickers. But of course, we know that separation at source intimately affects waste pickers. And so in the guideline, we're saying we have to stop seeing these two as separate, and we have to have an integrated approach to separation at source. We provide information on what needs to be done to create an enabling national environment, which I hope we are beginning to make some progress in creating, because municipalities can't do this alone. And then we have a 7-step process on how to implement waste picker integration. There's a conclusion, there's references, but then we have some very useful, I think, annexures. The one annexure provides a template for a waste picker integration plan at municipal level, so that as you are going through the 7 steps and developing your plan, you have a framework for how to capture that. And we also have a long annexure that goes through just about every issue we could think of and provides some guidance to all of the stakeholders on how you can begin to think about that differently and address it. So I just want to briefly discuss this concept of separation outside source, because what we're saying is, before we begin to change anything or see how we can integrate waste pickers, we need to understand what exists. Here's a really nice graphic of the existing system, which we call separation outside source. I don't think I need to explain it to any of you. We see the waste picker coming and going through the garbage bin, filling the heavy bag, taking it to the municipal or to the buyback center, and selling it and getting a little bit of money for that. And of course, the materials that the street pickers don't get goes to the landfill, and they sell it to the buyback centers, and then the materials enter into the recycling value chain. So the key point we're making here is this is a complete, holistic, very well-functioning, highly effective system. So any change we make in recycling is going to affect or disrupt the system, or hopefully enhance it. And here is just a picture that shows you what happens if we put in place separation at source without taking waste pickers and separation outside source into consideration. So you can see here, we've now got the red recycling truck. This is a company that's been contracted by a municipality to collect the separated bags of recyclables. And when that happens, those are the very same recyclables that waste pickers have depended on for decades for their livelihoods. And so you can see the bag is now very small, and there's fewer waste pickers because they've been pushed to the margin of the recycling economy. And interestingly, the company is getting paid when it sells the materials, just like the waste pickers, but it's also getting paid by the municipality for providing the separation source collection service, which is, currently waste pickers are not paid for the service they provide, which is something that the guidelines are seeking to address. So now that we understand what exists, the definition for waste picker integration in the guideline will hopefully make a little bit more sense. And it says, waste picker integration is the creation of a formally planned recycling system that values and improves the present role of waste pickers. So we're saying we acknowledge that they're there, and we are going to now improve what they are doing, rather than pretending they aren't there and unintentionally harming them. That it builds on the strengths of their informal system to collect and revalue recyclables, materials. And the reason we're saying this is our system works very well. We have recycling rates comparable to some European countries for some materials. So let's build from something that's already functioning rather than starting from scratch. And waste picker integration includes waste pickers as key partners in its design, implementation, evaluation, and revision. And this is really important because waste picker integration isn't a charity program, and waste pickers are, as Kira said at the very beginning, the absolute experts on how not only they work, but on how the recycling economy works in our municipalities. And so they need to be involved in all discussions and decisions and leading the way. And lastly, the definition says that waste picker integration includes the integration of waste pickers' work, as well as the political, economic, social, legal, and environmental integration of waste pickers. And that's because we know that because they work with our waste, because we have been too lazy to separate our waste from recyclables, we then discriminate against them because they're working with waste. So it's quite ironic. But so integration means we also address those kinds of discrimination and exclusion, and integrate waste pickers in all aspects of their lives. So here are the 10 principles, and they're easy to read. I have found in the work that I've been doing with reclaimers and waste pickers together with the municipalities and industries, they're easy to read, they're hard to understand and really put into practice. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what does this mean in the real world? So they are recognition, respect, and redress. Waste pickers know best what they want. We have to meaningfully engage waste pickers, not just invite them at the end to rubber stamp what we've done. We need to build on what exists. What we do needs to be cost effective and increase diversion. It must be evidence-based. If we're making decisions, we need hard evidence in front of us, just not our grand ideas about what we think might work. We need an enabling environment, improved conditions and incomes. We have seen waste picker integration projects that have worsened their working conditions and decreased their incomes, and that is not something that can be acceptable. They need to be paid for the service they provide, and we need a holistic approach. So the 7 questions we should all ask ourselves anytime we think about integration: who, what is being integrated into what? When, why, how, by whom, and crucially, in whose interests. So whose interests are really being served by what we do? So one of the things we've said with our 7 steps for waste picker integration is each place is unique and you need to develop your own approach, but here are some 7 steps. And I won't go through them but in detail, but the first is you need to prepare as a municipality. You need to get all the information, you need to educate yourselves so that you are able to engage with waste pickers respectfully and on the basis of knowledge about how your system actually works on the ground. Then you need to partner with reclaimers. So obviously these 7 steps are aimed at municipalities. Then there needs to be collective planning together with the waste pickers. Step 7, I cannot see because of, you need to plan once you have partnered. Then you need to create the enabling municipal environment. You need to institutionalize. That means waste picker integration has to be in the IDP, in the IWP. And you need to ensure that there are targets and indicators and it enters into people's KPIs. Then there needs to be implementation, and this needs to be jointly with waste pickers who are involved in monitoring and evaluation. And then based on the monitoring and evaluation, there needs to be revision. So if you want a copy of the Waste Picker Integration Guideline, I will put the link where you can download it. The last thing I just want to mention is that I'm currently involved in two really, I think, important projects together with a number of other partners. So the first is the project that actually is co-hosting this webinar. It is a program on training and capacity building for integration that I started when I was at Wits in partnership with CSIR and UNIDO, and it is being funded by the government of Japan. And what we're doing in this project is we are designing and conducting workshops on understanding the 7 steps and how to implement them. And we're developing training material that will be online to support these kinds of workshops. We'll be doing training the trainer so that other people can develop the skills to run these workshops around the country and with municipalities who are interested. The information and the materials we're developing include case studies of successful examples of integration, as well as some challenges that different attempts faced, and drawing lessons from how we can improve what we do in the future from those. We have videos of the case studies. We're developing a toolkit for municipalities to use when you're doing integration. We have animated videos and texts on reclaimers' lives and working lives, and videos of those, and photo stories. And together with Green Cape, we have a community of practice where anyone who's welcome can join to discuss issues related to waste picker integration. The last thing I'd like to mention is that linked to that project, we're also collaborating with a different part of CSIR on a project funded by the City Support Program in Treasury, where CSIR is developing an app through which we can register waste pickers, reclaimers onto a national waste picker registration system, which is something very important. And we will be piloting that system early in the new year. But for the municipal representatives here, we will be keeping in touch with you through SALGA about this, because as soon as the pilot is finished, then we are hoping municipalities will begin to work with waste pickers to register them on the system. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you, and thank you so much.
Melanie, thank you very much. Much appreciated. If you, oh, thanks, you stopped sharing your screen. So I think for all of us, you know, it gives a nice frame. So when we move into the waste pickers presenting the projects that they have developed and run, it's important to keep in mind some of these questions for how integration might work. So Andres, just to say, I see your hand. Thank you very much. We're going to have a dedicated time for question and answers. Or if you want, please do write your question in the chat and I'll make a note of it and ensure that we come back to that when we do get to the question and answer session. For now, I'm just going to ask Vaal, please, to come in and just, you know, drawing on your experience and also your position at SALGA, just to give a quick overview why integration is so important.
No, thank you, Kyra, and good afternoon to colleagues. Melanie has touched on most of the stuff that I would have also covered. Some of the stuff that I would have covered. But I think for me, it's just to indicate to colleagues that, as you would know, the roles and the responsibilities of municipalities, because as the association, we speak on behalf of municipalities. The municipalities have been entrusted with the responsibility to provide waste management services, and that will involve then the whole value chain of the traditional collection of waste management services to communities. That will include collection, transport, and disposal. Now, in the process of conducting that business or fulfilling that mandate that have been given to municipalities, there are quite a number of stakeholders that are in the process or that are in the value chain that municipalities need to interact with. And a key amongst those, for me, would be the private sector, which is mostly the industry, and the important amongst those, and then there will be waste pickers, which is the stakeholder that we're talking about today. Now, the waste pickers, they provide services for two role players in the value chain of waste management, which are municipalities and the private sector or the industry. With the industry, obviously, they provide raw material for the manufacturing processes. And for municipalities, then they reduce the volume of waste, as you would know all in this webinar. They reduce the volume of waste that would otherwise have been handled at the landfill site or wherever the facility it might be. And then there's a saving in terms of landfill airspace and many other things that you would know that colleagues in municipalities you would have incurred cost for. Now, so from where we're sitting, we were part of the integration process or the development of the guide for integrating waste pickers into the system, and we support the integration, and we feel that actually almost all that is in the content of the guide are things that resonate with us as local government. And I think with from the association level, we encourage municipalities to ensure that they know who are the waste pickers, and they have, whenever they initiate programs that would have impact on waste pickers, as Melanie has touched on, we need to consider that there are important stakeholders that are in the sector or that have been in the sector, and that they need to be supported. So what I would like to put as a main message from our side is that we recognize the role of the waste pickers. We know that waste pickers, they play a huge role in the sector that we operate, and we will strive by all means to assist where it's possible. And we'll also look at where there are legislative impediments, because there are some of the legislative impediments that municipal officials they faced with. We need to see how do we get around that without having putting the officials within the municipalities or within municipalities into challenges with the law or non-compliances. So those are some of the things that are facing some municipal officials. But I think one should also acknowledge, Chair, also some of the requirements that are coming out from the EPR regulations, which also bring in the role of also industry or the private sector in recognizing the role and the work of the waste pickers. So I think those are some of the things that industry, municipalities or local government, we need to work very closely together in supporting this key and important stakeholder in the work that we are doing. As I've indicated, they support all of us. So we need to work with them and also ensure that their work is recognized. So I would say that, Chair Kyra, that that's the message that we have for our members. And also we will continuously be engaging with our members in terms of what they need to do. And we're working with Melanie. Melanie, you would know that we're working very closely in ensuring that where there are challenges with regard to some of the officials in municipalities who may be struggling on how to go about integrating waste pickers in their work, what is it that we mean? So that work around the training, it's currently underway in terms of the development of the materials, the videos, and all the stuff. So then we will be engaging with municipal officials going forward in ensuring that they are well capacitated on how to work with waste pickers. I'll leave it at this at the moment, and then if there are any questions, we'll be able then to address and attend to them. Thanks.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Bala. Much appreciated. And for those of you who are watching the chat, you would have seen too that Melanie has placed a link to the Waste Integration Guidelines document if you want to download that. And just to let you know that after the session, we have got a Q&A time and we can have some discussion. And tomorrow, after we finish Friday's workshop, the team who's putting this together will work on a consolidated report document that we'll send out to everyone who's registered as well. Because of course, these, there's a fantastic willingness sometimes, and other times not so much to work with waste pickers, and we want that willingness, but we do also require thinking through together some of the practicalities of making this work in ways that are just and fair to the waste pickers and reclaimers themselves. So it is with great pleasure now that I hand over to three of our experts who are going to talk about and present the projects that they are working on and the businesses in some ways that they have started. We were worried about load shedding, so we've done something slightly different. We have pre-recorded these sessions just to ensure that you would get the overview and hear the voices of the waste pickers and reclaimers. But rest assured that the presenters are in the room with us, which is great. So they will be able to take your questions and have a discussion afterwards. And so without further ado, let me introduce Eva Mokwena. She's from the African Reclaimer Organization, and she is our first presenter today. Thank you, Tam.
Okay. My name is Eva Mokwena. I'm the chairperson of ARO, which is African Reclaimers Organization, that is based in Joburg, in the inner city and outside Joburg from Region 8 to Region G. ARO is an independent organization representing reclaimers. The organization is fully run by reclaimers, and it has an executive who represents thousands of reclaimers around the inner city and outside. Members of the executive are reclaimers themselves, and we are bound to recall when, like as time goes by, we do change our executives. ARO represents reclaimers as total human beings and addresses all issues affecting them. ARO has 4,600 members in Johannesburg, and it's growing every year. The third slide, thank you. Okay. We've got projects that ARO is doing. Those are pilot projects that are being initiated by UNIDO, Wits, and the residents to help reclaimers in more for the work that they do. ARO is developing a new model for separation at source that do not marginalize reclaimers. By so saying, meaning reclaimers has to be included in most of the things that include waste because that's their work. We have a pilot project in mid and high income areas, and our project is taking place in Auckland Park and Brixton in the city of Joburg. We started with 50 reclaimers and looking to expand to 70 or more reclaimers. This is a top-up project where reclaimers are getting more money. That's an acknowledgement about the beautiful work that they do. It started in October 2019. Unilever initiated the project to thank the reclaimers for the picking up of their products and other recyclables while promoting separation at source. Key role players in the project: Reclaimers and Residents Association, to persuade residents to participate and help reclaimers to host and teach about separation at source. That's the role played by reclaimers, while Residents Association were pushing behind so that these projects can be a success. Unilever linked us to COJ in order to promote the project. Then yes, our angel, Dr. Melanie Simpson, who was working at Wits, advocated everything so that reclaimers can have a successful partnership with Unilever. We've got a newsletter for the residents throughout the project of the kilos that we're scaling on a daily basis, because the project we scale only once, only on Tuesdays. So this is the newsletter that we're having, the kilos that we are doing on a daily basis every Tuesday when we scale. Thank you. Our expansion. This is about Casworld, where ARO have started a new project also. This is a community project where they called us and wanted to work with ARO. So we are doing collection there every Wednesday. It's in Midrand. As I was saying that we are expanding. The project is in Midrand. So this is the involvement in the communities with cleaning schools. We teach them how to make gardens. We teach kids at the nursery schools, kids at the schools. We clean rivers. We teach people, we're becoming more involved with the communities so that people can know about RO, know about recycling, know about separation at source, know about the importance of being a reclaimer, know the importance of being a recycler, and also know the importance of how to take care of your soil, because after cleaning the area, we plant. We don't just clean the area and leave it like that. No. Thank you. We've got a pickup project. It's a pilot also. It has close to 12 reclaimers. Those who are traveling to long distances to collect material between 30 to 40 kilometers per day on average. The pilot is aimed at establishing the impact of providing transportation once material are collected so that their work can be easier. Reclaimers collect more material and have more time to sort and spend time with families. Like sometimes we normally work 12 hours in a day or 14 hours in a day because by 3 o'clock we are out. Then we are coming back around 8 at night, sometimes around 12 because of the distance that we're walking. So this pilot project is helping there to reduce the distances and make our work easier. And to collect low value material like bottles. These are ARO programs. This happened during COVID-19, where we partnered with Gift of the Givers, CWCC, so that reclaimers can get food. And we also do education about COVID-19 and the way it affects our people and our body. We have distributed food, education and awareness, pickup services for reclaimers, resident reclaimer recycling project, campaigns to defend livelihoods. Next. Who do we organize and issues we take up? ARO organizes reclaimers in landfills and those that work in the suburbs of Johannesburg. Our organizing philosophy is based on organizing the human behind the work. We therefore take up issues of eviction. That's the one that I'm good at. Banning of reclaimers material, shelters, police harassment, shelter, food insecurity, immigration problem, etc. We organize within residents and build an alliance with residents association and recruit ARO champions. By saying ARO champions, these are the residents who are coming forward and be our people who are the ones that we send to go and talk on our behalf through the residents. We take up issues of plastic pollution and actively recruit reclaimers to clean up their working spaces and residence areas. Defending livelihoods. ARO take up campaigns to defend against marginalization of informal work because some campaigns are aimed at reclaimers, such as cleaning campaigns. This is where we introduced ourselves mostly to the residents so that they can know who we are, the work that we do. Some are aimed at decision taken by local governments, such as the anti-50 rent levy campaign, where we help residents not to be, how can I put it? Not to pay something more while they don't see the importance of doing it. Other campaigns are aimed at educating children about reclaimers and recycling. And also we're doing that in dealing with, because we know when we teach children about their parents, about the recycling, then they can go at home and teach their parents. Parents understand children more than bigger ones. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
Eva, thank you so much. It is just really so impressive, the depth and the span of work that you are doing. And thank you for sharing that beautiful work that you and Arrow are doing. Just a reminder that you can ask some questions now if you want in the chat, and we'll bring it back in, but there will be a chance to speak with Eva. She is with us today. For now, I'm going to introduce our next expert, Mantwa Mokoena. So Mantwa, we're looking forward very much to hearing about your work, the cooperative in Boipatong. Tam, if you'd like to share Mantwa's video, that would be great.
Just give me a second.
No problem.
I've got it up. Let me just open it again. Okay.
That's great. Thanks, Tam.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mantwa Mokoena. I'm a national coordinator of South African Waste Speakers Association. I'm a waste speaker. I'm waste speaking I started waste speaking in a landfill called Wits landfill in Van der Bay. Before in time, it was hard to work as a waste speaker because we were called names. They see us as nuisance. They used to chase us out, but we resisted up until groundwork came and opened our eyes. After the school called JSE for activists, that's when I have the courage to mingle with some people to start a cooperative, because now I can see we can do it. It's no longer hard for us. Then we started doing the cooperative, and it's a long time. It's a long time I've been working in waste speaking, maybe 30 years or so. Our work as a cooperative began in 2015. We used to be 25 people. Now we remain with 6 women. Our aim is that we want to create jobs for us and other peoples around us. We work at the depot in eTafuleni municipality in Boipatong, Gauteng. Yes, we did get, we did get the support from other people. We received support from Anglo-American We did get police PPE and get scale from Petco. Gauteng Department of Agriculture gave us the bags and PPE. Our work, the time I was working in the landfill, we used to wait for the truck so that he can offload, we start working. Now at the cooperative, we are going to town and collect recyclables and we bring back to the site. As you see those pictures, they are our trolleys, scale, and the place where we work. What we recycle? We recycle cans, glass, plastic, and scraps. As you can see the picture, there is glass. That lady is crushing glass. Challenges that we are facing and solutions. We have a challenge of land, truck, infrastructure. Now we want truck for go and selling and offloading because we are struggling. We can't go far when we work because we use our feet to go there. The land, we want land for ourselves so that we dream, so that we can do more. Infrastructure, we want equipment, MRF for separation exhaust and healing machine. Changing our communities for the better. Recycle at the taverns, schools, and also at the shops. What does waste picker integration means? Integration means that for waste pickers, we want municipality when he applied the laws, must include us when you apply laws, because now they are talking alone that side. And when they came to us, those laws are not suitable for us. Recognizing waste pickers when MRFs are built, we must be given an opportunity to work on those MRFs. Government must regulate prices and promote separation at source. I want to show you our work. There is a video there. Yeah, when I should done here, it's like a mouse. Red light. That picture is our members that will remain with them in the site. Thank you.
Mantua, thank you so much. Sure. Again, I mean, I'm sure many of us here are just the scale at which the recycling is happening, and just the incredible work done by yourself and the woman that you're working with to put in place these systems to recycle at those sort of quantities is really, really impressive. And as you rightly say, I mean, you know, as people put in laws and regulations around this, it's vitally important that they come and speak to the people who are already doing this work to make sure that it's a system that continues to work for you. So thank you, Mantua, for sharing that. And I'm so glad you're on the call today. So just keep in mind, if you've got questions for Mantua, there is a time afterwards to discuss with her. Right, I'm going to ask the last expert for today's session to come on, and that's Lefa Mononga. And he is based in Bloemfontein, and Lefa is going to discuss the startup of their cooperative and also how it's grown over time. So Lefa, we look forward to hearing your story.
Hi, my name is Lefa Mononga from Free State in Bloemfontein. I'm a waste picker for more than 10 years now, and Lefa is the chairperson of South African Waste Pickers Association, which is formed in 2007 with more than 150 dumping sites have been visited or have been invited to our first meeting in Midrand in Johannesburg in 2009. And then in 2009, this is where we have our national meeting in JHP. Then more than 100 waste pickers in South Africa sign up the members. And then the project that I'm involved in, it's called Ratanama Africa, which is based or located in Bloemfontein in Free State, with over 100 members that are also affiliated under SALGA, which is South African Waste Pickers Association. And Ratanama Africa is a secondary cooperation, which is a separation at source project. And then the project is involved with Buang, with Basadi Buang since 2019 to 2019, and we have 20 members, which comprises of the youth that is based in Bloemfontein, in the northern side of Bloemfontein. And then, like I said, Ratanama Africa. In Ratanama Africa, you've got 70 members or 65 members that are under Ratanama Africa, which is an umbrella here in the northern and side. Then when I'm talking about Buambasadi and the other one, which is called Emisamoyetu, then we started working with this large amount of 70 or to 69 people. Then along the way, we have seen that with large number of waste pickers under one cooperative, it doesn't work out well for us. Then this is where we have decided in 2019 that, guys, how about we split us having the groups, maybe 2 to 3 groups. Then this is where we have managed to make 3 groups, which is Ratanama Africa and Basadi Buang, and the other one is called Imisamoye too. But also both of them, they are separation at source cooperations. And then we have over 10 years doing this kind of job of waste picking. And then I'm going to talk about the role players in all the projects that we have here in Bloemfontein. Then the first one, it's SALGA, South African Waste Pickers Association, because I believe that if it wasn't because of formation or maybe being under SALGA as a member, I don't think we will have made it up to so far. And then obviously we will have the waste pickers as the most role players here in the cooperative. Then the waste pickers, what they are doing here is to collecting the materials from the landfill sites, to our transfer center, and then making sure that the waste that we collect is built on a daily basis, and weighing of materials. And then we've got what we call the municipal mentorship, because remember, the project or the initiative comes with the municipality in 2007. It's them who have decided, guys, you need to be formalized. It was in 2007 when they told us we need to be formalized and working together, whether it will be in a cooperative or in a CC, but mostly I prefer cooperative, because in a CC, you'll find mostly you have only 2 members and then or 3 members, but here in this sector of recycling, you need more power in order to consume more or to collect more volume. And then mentorship from the municipality. Why I say mentorship is because they often come maybe on a weekly, but that was before. They come on a weekly to check on us. How are we going? How are we doing? Whether we are still working as a cooperative. This is what they are doing even now. And then the other will be is a North Richmond. North Richmond is after Lefa and Simon came back to EJ School, Environmental Justice School. Then we are giving a task to go back to our communities and educate the communities about the importance of the separation of source. Then we have decided we will start up with the malls, because remember, our landfill is just close to the mall in the suburb. Then that's how we got the North Richmond management to listen to us and then being part of us. Even now, we go there on every Wednesday or Thursday. We've got some of our members that are working, collecting waste from the mall on every day. And then the buyers also, meaning the buyers will be the whole players, because of the markets, especially in Free State, deep in Bloemfontein, they're not the markets. Then that's why we include the buyers, because they are the ones that we are working with them closely now. Because not all of the materials we take them straight to the market in Joburg because of transportation. Then in the University of Free State and the local municipality, and this one is just it's education, because we've got the learners that are working on that are studying the environmental issues. Some of them are studying I would say about the environmental, because normally what they will do, they will just come here every Thursday to come and learn how we dealt with waste in the landfill site. Then normally they will meet with Lefa and his brother Lefa to educate them on how to handle the waste, how we run the landfill. Although the landfill is run by the municipality, but this is what we are doing here in Northern landfill sites. Then that's the work. As you can see here, that's the landfill. That's the landfill. You call it a cell. I don't know why they call it a cell, because from my understanding, I know that a cell is the basic unit of life. Then here they call it a cell. Then we collect our material from here and here. And then here, this is where we transfer our materials, make sure that we came and separate them accordingly. This is Mujalifa here. And then here it's Lefa. And then here, that's the lady that I'm working with, which is responsible for all the papers, the books, the recordings. She's doing that. And then we've got this gentleman here that are responsible for the baling of all materials here. And then that's the bay of PET. And then here is our truck. I'm sure it's our first or second truck that was going to Joburg at that time. And then about the challenges and possible solutions. Then our challenges, normally I say, from my experience and from where I've been traveling around the landfills in South Africa, what we need, firstly, it will be a space to work. By space to work, what simply means the transfer station or the MRF, material recovery facility for the waste pickers. that will be owned by the waste pickers. And then we'll talk about the infrastructure, obviously. As we can see now, mostly in the landfill sites, people that are dominating the gender, it's humans or females. Then we'll need the toilets for the women, and then the transportation for collection of materials, and then maybe sometimes transportation to go to the buyback centers. And then the pricing of materials competition. The pricing of material competition, like now in Bloemfontein, we are selling to the middlemen around Free State. Then what we need, maybe what we expect is that maybe, let's say they say from Jalefa, PET bottles, it will be 3 rand. Then what we are expecting is also to be, when you go to maybe to Simon, then when you go there, maybe a PET should be 3 rand again. And then again, even all across all the provinces, because like for an example, when you go to ShopRite or TKP, you will buy maybe loaf bread, crown. You will get it maybe with 15 rand here in Bloemfontein. The same applies when you go to Joburg, you will get it with the very same price, with 15 rand. Then the question is, why here in a waste picking, in a waste sector, recycling, why can't it be like that? And then the market, yes, I think we've got a big problem. The challenge is the market here. Having a market in every province for recycling, it will be a better solution for the waste pickers. And then here, that's the other project that we are involved in, the community work here. As you can see here, it was before the president announces the VUMA project for the vaccination program. We started here with the Red Cross, and then we've got a group of pastors in Bloemfontein, and then the other people that were supposed to be here, it was SASA and the Department of Home Affairs assisting the landfill with straight, and SASA, the aim for us to bring social development here is to help some of our members, because I've got 3 to 4 people that for me, I think they deserve to get a pension fund, because yes, it's true, they can come here in a landfill site on a daily basis to make some money, but now as they are getting older day by day, I've seen troubles with them. They've got challenged to do their work properly. And then for Home Affairs is to help other people to get their identifications. And then we've got, remember, under SALGA, we've got the members from South Africa and outside South Africa. And then we've got another 3 gentlemen. The other one comes from Zimbabwe and the other 2 is from Lesotho. Then we need them to come and help them with their passports. And then the other sector which was here, it's the Red Cross. The Red Cross, the people see it was for vaccination program, because what I've realized, most of the waste pickers, they don't have a time to go to the centers where people have been vaccinated, or to the hospitals or clinics. Then this is where we have decided, let's call these guys, gentlemen, together here. Then maybe this is where the waste pickers will get the vaccine. And we started from my side here in the landfill side. Then I went back to the street waste pickers, sat with them, discussed with them, guys, we've got this program that can help you, because I know that you are busy. Every day at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, some of you, they are already on the way, going to collect their materials, coming back to the transfer centers, then you don't have time. So it's better if we bring those guys to you then. Then for now, I will tell you that for now, we've got close to 200 to 250 members that are affiliated under SALGA, which they are vaccinated since this community work that we have been doing. And then for integration of waste pickers, we will say waste pickers play an important role when it comes to saving space at the landfill site. Because remember, the landfill site have the lifespan, like here in Northern landfill site. The lifespan of this landfill was supposed to be in 2022, but because of presence of the waste pickers, I don't see it being closed in 2022, meaning that they keep on taking the recyclable materials, and then the space is still more. Maybe it will take until 2030. Then the waste pickers, for me, I believe they make a significant environmental and economic contributions to the economy. We propose, in line with the waste picker integration guidelines, that we must be included as part of the essential services of sanitation under this. 1, every waste picker informal recycler to be provided with protective personal equipment, which is PPE. And every household and institutions are instructed as far as possible to sanitize waste before disposing of it, and that they separate waste. As you can see here, this is part of integration that we are talking. This is PPE from the Department of Environmental Affairs after the relief fund for the waste pickers as part of integration. Yes. I think here, that's my motivation. I'll always say to the people, a person like me will never fail. I could be late or delayed. Sometimes I could miss that bus and get into the next one because I accepted my journey and who I am. I am a waste picker, and I'm a South African. I'm a South African Waste Pickers Association member. Thank you.
Lefa, thank you so much. Sure, fantastic. I mean, just listening to these 3 presentations, you're just struck by, in many ways, how sophisticated the thinking has been from waste pickers and reclaimers to understand the markets that they're working in, to understand the stakeholders who are involved in it, and also to make some very strategic partnerships. And I think this really is a question for many of us who are working in municipalities to think carefully about, because partnerships are an important strength for municipalities in many ways, not just to provide services, but also their type of social infrastructure. And from what we've seen today, from all 3 presentations, that social infrastructure that waste pickers and reclaimers are doing is another added value. The type of educational work, the type of social goods, ensuring vaccines and healthcare and food packages is really invaluable too. So thank you so much. If I can please invite Lefa and Mantua and Eva to turn on their videos, although Eva, I know your battery is dying, so perhaps for you that might not be possible. But if Mantua and Lefa are able to turn on their videos, just quickly, that would be fantastic as we open up the questions and discussion session. So if you have any questions that you'd like to direct to the speakers, they're with us here today, which we're very grateful for, then please do raise your hands. I see some questions have been answered in the chat already, but we're happy to take questions live. Yes, Asiye, would you like to turn on your video, unmute and ask your question? Asiye, are you there? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Good day,
welcome.
everyone. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, I'm Asiye Queen Samakwani from Nelspruit. I'm a waste picker, and I'm so inspired with all the information and all the good work that everyone who did present is working. So on my situation as a waste picker from 2016, I have been struggling very much since COVID-19. I have not been operating. I can also see that even the other guys who were presenting, they have the land issue. I'm locked out from last year because I could not pay rent. So I had 9 employees. I was able to pay them with the money that we did on collecting waste. But the problem is that here in Mpumalanga or in Nelspruit, I did write proposals. I went to the municipality. I tried to reach some organizations that I won't mention names, show them my work, show them how I operate, because a lot of things as individually I did face. I even got an interview by SAPC. Then I got the Department of Environment, Zonda in Sila 2 years back. But then now, because I want to start again, it seems like all the doors are closed, and it's really frustrating because we have waste problem in Nelspruit. So I would really like, yeah, thank you.
No, thank you for sharing those challenges. I'm going to let Lefa, Mantwa, and Eva, if any of you would like to respond, maybe you could share some advice.
Okay, it's Eva. If I may ask Busisiwe, is Busisiwe registered as a cooperative, or she is registered as a PTY? If I may ask.
I'm registered as, okay, we are registered as a cooperative from 2016.
Okay.
But some of the members pulled out, so I had to register again on my own 2019. Then I employed the other one who were, because only 3 pulled out, so I was left with 2. Then I had to re-register because I would not be able to operate with the certificate where other people are not doing the recycling anymore.
Oh, okay, thank you. What I will suggest is that don't look at government only. You have to also knock on private properties. Like some banks, they do help, especially if you are a PTY. But mostly the only thing that our government is looking at now is cooperative. It doesn't want someone who's benefiting alone. Like when you are a PTY, they think that you are the only one who's benefiting. It has to be a community thing that all of the people are going to benefit on that project that we are doing or on that cooperative that you are running. And even if someone left the cooperative, you don't have to change the certificate. All we have to do, we just need them to go and do an affidavit and their ID copy at the police station, be stamped. Then you take that to where you registered the cooperative. Then you change their names and put other people's names there. Thank you.
Eva, thanks very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Lefa, do you want to add to that? I see Simon also has his hand up.
Thank you. It was just in terms of also answering the question. The big challenge that we have in South Africa, we present as waste pickers to many platforms, particularly in government as well as private sector, even communities. The big challenge, some people see projects of recycling appealing, and they will start projects of recycling with the mindset that they will be financially viable. People will start cooperatives as a mandate to municipalities, not as waste pickers who've been working together for some couple of time. So if you bring people who haven't been used to working with waste before, it's really a challenge because there are dynamics in terms of understanding the recycling sector. Collection is but nothing. The main issue will be when selling, sometimes you come together with no knowledge of where to sell your products, and it becomes a frustration to some members. Those are some of the challenges. For me, my sister, I would say the big problem that you should face is to how you engage your municipality. There are waste pickers who are working on the streets. There are waste pickers who are working in our landfills. Where is the platform to engage them, and how do we engage them maybe? As you are saying that you started a new cooperative, my belief will be you should have learned the lesson to say that people who are not waste pickers, they are shy to handle waste. They are complaining when they handle waste. They will tell you stories. They feel as if it's not a good job for them. They do it because they were promised benefits. So in the long term, those projects collapse. Many projects across South Africa collapsed. Even the Boeisieberg established many recycling centers in the country. They all have collapsed because they never thought to engage people who voluntarily came to the space rather than being invited. So those who are invited also will leave, but those who came voluntarily will stay. Thank you.
Simon, thank you. I think that is excellent advice. And we look forward, Simon, tomorrow to your presentation as well. I think I'm hoping, Bosisiwe, you got some useful feedback there, and also just have a look. Eva's also written in the chat as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and thanks very much for asking the question. These are exactly the kinds of obstacles that we have to start thinking through together. Right, do we have any more hands? I know there was a hand earlier that went down, but if you have a question, please do. Yes, Gary, nice to see you here.
Hi.
What's your question?
Right.
Hi.
So I'm coordinating quite a big project in Durban, and I'm almost embarrassed to say that it is big. We have now quite a bit of capacity for the national government, and we haven't been able to effectively engage with the waste picking sector in Durban. I mean, really, we started at the other end of the value chain, which was how can we beneficiate waste in a circular economy kind of model. And then as the logic took us back, we said, okay, we need, that takes us to the MRFs. But then we started saying, well, actually behind that is the collection. And that means essentially the waste pickers. So we want to be able to build the model from the start, which is the collection side, and we want to build it around the waste pickers essentially. So all I'm really asking for is through this platform, and I'm aware now of yourselves working with Asiye, eTafuleni, and groundwork, but certainly I would like the opportunity very soon to get into a fairly substantial conversation about how we can structure the things we're planning to do, because essentially off the how do we rest it on the institutional and economic structuring of the waste pickers down to the forms of business across the city. I'm not talking about one project, I'm talking about citywide. And also, I mean, just the simple questions like how do we best enable waste pickers to sell plastic into an MRF, because it's a light material and we want to be able to buy it and subsidize it, or particularly subsidize the ones that are not currently being recycled, like the light plastics, the bags and the polystyrenes and so forth, as well as glass. But they're critical questions about how best to do that. And so, I'm just saying I would like offline here to be able to get into a discussion about that.
Thanks, Gary. And Gary, sorry, I know you, so I forgot to ask you, please introduce yourself. But
I'm sorry, I work in the eTafuleni municipality in the economic development unit. And so that's where I'm coming from. It really is the economic structuring of the value chain to get the throughput of waste. So zero waste, but zero waste centering on how do we make it work as a business model for the waste picking constituency. That's really where I'm coming from. Obviously, we're working with cleansing and solid waste, but we would like to, even from an MRF collection facility here, we would like to start at the beginning rather than start around existing buyback centers, most of which I think have got their own problems about viability.
No, Gary, thank you. And so let me say, fantastic. I will be in touch very soon. And there are quite a few people on this call who would also like to be in on that conversation. And certainly the people who are going to be able to advise best are the waste pickers and reclaimers themselves. And we would be happy with groundwork to facilitate such a conversation.
Thank you.
So just, Melanie, I see your hand, and Lewis as well, but I just do want to see whether any of the waste pickers on the call today, whether that's the presenters or anyone else, would like to respond to Gary quickly, just on, you know, is there something that municipal officials should be cautious about around subsidizing on a certain plastic waste stream? Are there things they could do that would work better for you? Okay. No
Say, just
response.
because you
Yeah.
made a point about subsidization, so this is where I'm coming from, is that, you know, I sat in a workshop more than a year ago where a senior person at Cleansing and Solid Waste said it costs us at that stage 1,700 Rand to put waste into a landfill, of which 1,400 Rand was transport. So given inflation, it's over 1,800. So I'm essentially saying that if we can build a business case that we can sell to the extended producer responsibility schemes, and we can sell to the municipality, which says, actually, if you put half of that money per ton, 900, let's call it 1,000 Rand a ton, into subsidizing waste from waste pickers through buyback facilities, you would be saving a lot of money as the municipality, and you would be supporting people who are collecting waste, but at the moment don't pick up polystyrene maybe or whatever because it doesn't really have a value, or glass. So our city is full of glass, but no one's collecting it because no one's buying it. So
yes,
we can develop
yeah.
opportunities for glass as an example, and we could pay for it. And so essentially what I'm saying is, if we look at the value chain, the city should be able to build a model that says we will actually pay at the source level to the informal sector, rather than spending the money on the other end of the value chain, sticking it in the ground or moving it around in trucks.
Thanks, Gary.
That's the principle. Yeah.
No, thanks. I mean, I think those are fantastic ideas, and that's partly what these sessions should be about. And we'll definitely find a way in which you can start to think through that with waste pickers in Durban. I'm going to ask, and please, if any of the waste pickers or reclaimers here would like to respond to that, even if it's a bit later after you've thought about it a bit, feel free to come in. I'm going to, Louis, sorry, would you like to come in? Because perhaps you were wanting to respond to that. Or Lefa, are you wanting to respond to that? I see you unmuted, Lefa, so if you do want to respond, just jump in.
No. I was having a problem with the speaker here.
Okay, no problem. Louis, would you like to come in? You had your hand up.
Yes, I had my hand up. Hi, everyone. I'm Louis Mahlangu from the African Reclaimers Organization. My question will be based on the presentation that was made by Paarl from SALGA. Yeah, I think the integration is a very innovative plan. But now the question is, how is it going to be disseminated to the municipality? Because at the lower level, they know nothing about what is happening. They don't know anything about the new plans that are in place. So my question would be, how are they going to disseminate the information to the lower structure so that they understand exactly what is happening? And then I would like also to add on what Eva has said, that Arrow is growing. Yes, it's true. Arrow is growing rapidly, and we have also targeted several suburbs, and we are in the process of signing two places that were boomed area where they never allowed anybody to come in. So they have given us a chance to go and recycle in those areas. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise. So, Bala, that was a question for you, if you just want to give that some thought and come in. But I'm going to ask Melanie just to jump in quickly because she wants to do a quick response to Gary. Melanie, are you with us or did we just lose you?
Sure. No, thank you so much, Kira. And Gary, I think that all of the questions you're asking and the issues that you're identifying are crucially important. And you're already seeing how these arguments can be made. And I want to really encourage you. It's very important to have these initial meetings that Kira is saying that she can help to facilitate. But I really think the key thing is that as the municipality, you should be engaging in the 7-step process to actually integrate, to design and implement waste picker integration in a participatory way together with reclaimers. And if you look at the guideline, you'll see, the first stage is, all of the municipal officials getting together and educating yourselves and understanding, what waste pickers are actually doing and how the system actually works. But also in terms of understanding the types of participatory processes that are needed. And if you're in the LED division, then, I imagine that you and or your colleagues have some of those skills. But, the part of the first step is for you as officials gathering all of the relevant information, which you've started to do. How much are you spending on landfilling costs? How much are you spending if you have separation at source programs, etc., so that when you partner with reclaimers in the second stage, you share that information. And the third step is all of you sitting down together, which is, LED, waste management, other relevant parts of the municipality, and the waste picker organizations, the reclaimer organizations, together with the other resources like, the Durban University of Technology and groundWork, etc., to look at that and come up with a way forward. And one of the reasons I'm stressing this more holistic approach, other than it is what our guideline says, is that you'll find if you make one intervention without looking at all of the other things that it affects, you may not necessarily achieve what you want. And earlier in the webinar, in the workshop, I did see that there were some colleagues from the city of Cape Town here. And if they're still here, just think about it. Perhaps you may want to share your process, but I just want to note that as far as I'm aware, the city of Cape Town is the one municipality, and particularly metro in the country, that has already embarked on a very in-depth process to follow the steps in the guidelines. And I think that there's a lot that we can all learn from that experience. So thank you, Kira, for letting me make that intervention. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Melanie. Okay, Gary, I see your hand is up again. Is it in direct response to this quickly? Else I want to jump to the question for Bala.
Actually, it's Kira, it's Jonathan Welsh. I used Gary's link. I think it's me.
Yes, it's you, Jonathan. I see 2 Garys now. Thank you.
Interesting, Melanie, you speak about the Cape Town link there. So I'm working with Gary on looking at how we can set up this informal collector reprocessing space in Durban. And certainly one of the aspects that I'm interested in is, I believe that Cape Town is fairly advanced in terms of setting up drop-off centers. One of the elements that we're looking at are the operating costs of these drop-off centers, and just looking at the benefits / detriments of expecting the operators of these centers to cover those operating costs. So if there's anyone on this call with information or advice in terms of the operation of these public drop-off centers that service the informal collectors, then I would be greatly appreciative of making that contact with them.
Thanks very much, Jonathan. And so if anyone does, if you want to answer in a few minutes, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, that's also part of the conversation we can pick up certainly after the webinar. So I'm just going to let Bala have a chance to answer the question that was posed to him. Bala, are you back with us? I saw you dropped off.
Yes, yes, I'm back. I saw
Fantastic.
the question is about what we're doing in sort of capacitating municipal officials on the
Exactly
ground.
right. And that was
Yeah,
from Louis. And I wonder if I
Louise.
could just, Louis, yes, if I could just add one more question that came through the chat that I think is one that you might want to pick up too, Bala, was a question around how can more public funding be unlocked to support this process of integration? Because at the moment, there's a fair amount of international institutions and the industry moving into fund. Thanks.
Thanks, Kyra. Louise, the most of, or let me say, once we have developed the guide on integration, we took it to municipalities that there is this tool that is developed to assist you in integrating or working with waste pickers. So from SALGA side, we spoke, we held sessions where we invited Professor Samson. We had, I think, a number of sessions where we called municipalities and we invited Professor Samson to come and speak on those sessions. So as one of the vehicles for getting information to municipalities. So also from time to time when there are sessions where we organize, we do speak about the need to follow the guide as one of the tools that will assist municipal officials in dealing with the issue of integration. And you might remember also what I've touched on in my remarks earlier, that it's something that we will continuously be speaking to municipal officials. There are training sessions that are lined up or underway for municipal officials that will be continuously speaking on that. Then the issue of public funding, Kyra and colleagues, the integration and the part of the waste management as a whole, it's one of the areas that we must say, and we must be open about it, that it's still receiving a low priority. I mean, let me put it bluntly as it is, across all spheres of government. You look at what is being budgeted for water and electricity, you compare it with waste, it's still very low. So that's one area that we're trying to advocate as officials who are in the sector to speak to decision makers. We're going to be having councillor induction for all the new councillors. That's one area that we are going to be raising very sharply to say this area needs to be also be prioritized. And it might not only necessarily as the part that only speak to waste pickers, but the whole value chain of waste. The priority that it receives is still very low. So we still have a challenge that we need to overcome as a sector. And we're hoping that by speaking with decision makers or councillors and mayors, then we should be able to get that priority. So there is still a challenge, and I'm acknowledging the challenge around the public funding and the budget that are made available for this area of work. So I would leave it at that as something that we recognize the challenge, and something that we are looking at as trying to uplift the profile of the function. Thanks.
Thanks, Bala, appreciate it. Gary, I saw you got kicked out. I've just copied a message from Noel to you directly saying if you'd like to get in touch via his Cape Town office email. All right, you've all been marvelous because I didn't give you a small break. So I hope everyone's feeling okay. I think what we'll do is just take maybe one or two more questions and then we can close up for the day. I just want to remind everyone that this conversation does continue tomorrow at the same time from 1 to 3. There are 3 other presentations by Simon Mbata, by Luyanda Schlatzwayo, and by Madi Kuna. Please do come to those. All 3 just really important presentations, thinking through some of the opportunities, some of the challenges, some of the strategies that waste pickers and reclaimers have used to ensure that they can continue doing the good work that they do. And in tomorrow's session, we have smaller breakaway groups where we really start to tackle some of these questions and think through together how we might work in ways that, as Melanie keeps reminding us, follows those guidelines that have been very carefully and inclusively put together around how to ensure that processes around waste do not exclude the people who are working with it most closely now. All right, any last questions? Perhaps there's something you want to share. I know Andres also had a question, if he's still with us, I'm not sure. No, unfortunately, it doesn't look like it. Please feel free to raise your hand if you've got a last question or a comment, something you want to share with the group. So again, can I perhaps ask you to come in then, just on your comment on the chat?
Sure, Kira. I was just thinking about perhaps the possibility of working with SALGA, maybe in partnership with the cities network, and getting the 8 metros just to sit in a safe space, just as officials, to be able to take Melanie's point seriously. Because the truth is, and having worked for eThekwini for 21 years, sometimes the officials don't necessarily have the capacity to be able to engage effectively. So I thought maybe in a closed, safe space with a workshop amongst officials saying, hey, here's a set of guidelines now. How do we interrogate this? How do we engage institutionally? So I thought maybe, just partnership there with the cities network might be useful. And perhaps UFC can support the process as well. Just a thought. Thank you.
Thanks again. Yes, I think it's important. It's important to make the space to think through these things in order to move carefully. So appreciate it. All right, then I think that we will close a little bit early since we didn't have a break. And I just really want to thank everyone for being here, and thank you especially to all our presenters for sharing your expertise and really allowing these sorts of conversations to start happening more frequently. And I hope very much that you will all be back tomorrow. As I said, there's a special dedicated time tomorrow in the afternoon in smaller groups to start thinking through some of these challenges and exciting possibilities as well. So that's from me, goodbye. And perhaps I could just ask Paarl to do a final close for the day, and then we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Kyra. Thanks to colleagues for making time for this session. We really appreciate that you took time out of your busy schedule and then come and attend the session. We, as Kyra has indicated, we've got good stuff as well, similar to today's one in store for tomorrow. Please make time also to attend tomorrow. Let's see you tomorrow and have a good night, good afternoon, and the rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paarl. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.